This is
Gene Bond Art.
Okay, so today talking about rotating objects in perspective, intuitive perspective. So to understand kind of how to do this, you need, of course, like I told before, you need to practice in the previous tutorials. So because you cannot draw objects in perspective if you don't know how perspective works. So because it's kind of shortcut based on your knowledge. And again, useful remind is this here.
Under all the circumstances, Jung Gi thinks that it is always better to practice a lot with a pencil, to give more, to add more details, to add as much as details you can with a pencil.
왜 괜히 바로 그리려고 그러세요? 그렇게 그리지 마시고 그냥
Jung Gi really,
평소대로 그냥 연필 스케치하시고 그렇게 해서 그리시면 돼요.
Jung Gi really doesn't understand why people try to draw with pens directly on paper without any sketches, because you could just go on as you're doing right now at the moment to practice with pencil.
Yeah, so drawing without pencil and drawing without perspective grid, without all the stuff, vanishing points, it's just like you make your freehand more like being more in the zone, so you can more like enjoy process, right? But it doesn't mean like you should totally avoid it. It will be nonsense. You don't need to avoid completely drawing with pencil. But as exercise, it's a very good practice, and it will improve your general kind of flow in the drawing. So if so what you need to know, let's say here we have, so here is observer. So you need then just keep in mind very simple principles, like eye level, for example. So have like this eye level, like h of observer, like it's camera level or viewer level, which we see as horizon line, right? So each object, let's say cup, for example, right? So each object, when it's above your eye level, you will start to see its bottom side. When this object is below your eye level or camera level, you start to see top side. So it can be mug or it can be buildings or whatever. So it makes it that with this level extent of how much you reveal of this top or bottom side, you tell how far this object from your eye level, like how, or you can say like how close this horizon line to this object. So when this surface became like less revealed, so it's kind of, you see it's like barely visible, then eye level is very close to this object. So it's kind of, if we look from side, here it's observer, this eye level. So when it on his eye level, it's just like a flat. You cannot see any surface, it's flat. When it's lower, you start to see kind of more and more of it. This kind of point, this element of this kind of intuitive perspective you need to keep in mind. But also other moment, it's like, again, if side view, every time you look somewhere, it's kind of invisible to the screen, like a flat screen. If it's like some kind of two-dimension reality, 2D. So we have like this kind of vertical and horizontal. So here's from side view. It's like, again, if this cup is like this, parallel to your screen kind of vision, then you don't see top or bottom. It's just flat, kind of. It will be flat for you. But when it start to rotate, so it will rotate to you with the top, like revealing more of top or revealing more of bottom area. So if it's like rotating this way, like this, right? So you start to see more of this top area. And what is also interesting to remember, interesting to understand, yeah, like same like with the horizon, with the level, like how closest to your eye level. Same here is like how much this plane, this surface is open, degree kind of with openness is tell you angle. So let's say this one, it's like 60, 62 about, let's say. This one is about 25 maybe angle. So like here, it's like maybe like 30, let's say about 30 angle. So you can look by like ratio of ellipse, you can say what kind of angle it is. Like we don't need actually to be so precise, but it's important to have it in mind. And what it's also tell you is that this side of a mark, this kind of edge, right? It's closer to you. And this edge is farther. So every time when we have this situation that this like top or bottom side reveals, it means it's closer to you, and others like goes away. It's kind of very simple principle. So if we have like this, so here's 45 angle, and in this case you see we have like bottom part, it's a closer to you, and this one goes away. So it might not look like this when you look on a 2D drawing, because you look this and okay, it's just like flat shape kind of, right? But you should understand, you should know that like in this case, like when we have like very little ellipse, it already tells you that this part it's closer to you, and this one it's farther, it goes away. So it's not parallel to you, it's rotated like this. And like I say, if you watch, and you should watch this, my first video about perspective for beginners part 1, chart from crayons with these crayons cubes teach this stuff best, because you see it's all about these surfaces, like how revealing of this surface it shows this rotation. So if like we have cube just in front of you, it look like square, then we have here is like 22.5 rotation horizontally, right? So start to reveal this left side. Then when it goes to 45, it became like equally revealed. We have this front and left side like equally, like 1:1 or 2:2 ratio. And then farther it goes, more you see. So this side here, it was they was on the same distance, but now this became closer and this goes farther, and it keeps going. So now it's like it's very close and this very far. They have like very big distance. So if you know, let's say if I take this like 22-degree cube, so when you practice with these boxes, so you start to be able to draw cube in different angles, and then it make you able to draw any geometry, because cube it's also can be a cylinder, right? So now you see how look cylinder in this kind of angle. So it's can be like this or more foreshortened. Anyway, so it's this kind of practice with Green's chart, Green's cubes, teach you this idea of revealing of these sides, different sides and different planes or surfaces, whatever, you know. So you can kind of show by this, you can show rotation. And second moment here, this one is like key angles, right? So if you want to show like something between 0 and 22, what you do is just like you draw less version, like you make this surface even shorter. So let's say like this. So it's easy to make intermediate, like between 22 and 45. Same, you don't make it equal, you make it like little different, like this. Okay, so here will be like 30, maybe like 35. And this one like, let's say 10 maybe, you know, just again for us artists, you don't need exact numbers, but just you see how you can control a degree of rotation. That's it. So just learn on this chart and you will able to make any angle. But first of all, let's give you clear idea of it. So then trick here is that no matter what kind of reason for object to be here, it's like it might be just because your eye level, or it might be because object itself is rotated. It's always about this position of object according to viewer, like in the Green's chart. So like here, this can be like fisheye perspective something, right? But all these boxes is this kind of like boxes which is rotated according to viewer. So here you see we see all three sides. Then here this side became smaller, so it's like have less angle to according to viewer. Here we don't see third side, we see only two sides. You see, here we have three sides, and like most revealed is this one side. So each of this cube, they have their rotation because of perspective grid, because they're like a placement in a space, but they're always still is like one of a box, one of a cube, like in this Green's cube. Like, so we see like this cube, it's basically it's this one, just on other, like mirrored, flipped. Or this one, it's this one, just like a little bigger angle. This cube, it's this one, you see? So basically some kind of like a characters in a language. Once you learn characters, it's just like same characters everywhere in a different combination. But at least you need to be able to physically draw them and just get this idea. So when you will draw, like when you need to draw cube in perspective, you will already have like solid feeling of how this cube might look like. You kind of like have this catalog of cubes. Okay, and like I say, yeah, it's can be any reason. Here it's because it's following perspective grid, but sometimes there's no perspective grid and you just like draw some cube up, and every time it's about how it's rotated according viewer. So then let's say what is reasons might be for rotation. Here is like two type of rotation you can practice. One is rotation in perspective, when it's like you see box rotating, but it's actually they're just like a set of parallel boxes. They just stand in parallel to each other, but they're perceived as rotated because there's like strong perspective. So let's say like 5-point perspective. Okay. So you see, is like, is there actually parallel these cubes? But for a viewer, they're rotated. So, and the reason here is just because we have strong curvilinear perspective. So here we have this one type of cube from Crane's box, Crane's chart. Here's like 45 angle, here's another like 62, and etc. Here also like I did video like how to rotate in a 5-point perspective. So here we can even draw like 45-degree cube. So let's say it can be like this. Same. So it's like a stacking cubes. And this. So here's like 45 angle, like 2-point perspective cube in a 5-point perspective. Here is like 62.5 angle, and here 62.5 in the other direction, just like this or like this. And same you can like have like 45, 45, 45. Kind of this. So it's like now this cube in a 5-point perspective, which is both rotated 45 degrees vertically and horizontally. So yeah, and then okay, let's draw here. So like in my video about rotating in perspective, part 1, you must watch it because there's really give you like important essential knowledge. Rotation is always about ellipse. So if we rotate cube just kind of like around itself, around some kind of certain central axis. So here we have like, let's say right angles is not cube, it's like right angle. And we have this like central axis, right? So we can turn it around like this using cylinder. It can be like if cube or right angles inside cylinder, or it can be outside cylinder. So let's see if we have cylinder like this, we have right angle like this. And just like I said before, if you did practice, I recommend you to do in my video like perspective for beginners part 1, like a drawing crayons, cubes and stuff. This will be like much easier for you to do this stuff, to do this kind of rotations. So, and you kind of having this idea of a circle or a cylinder in mind, you can rotate these boxes just around themselves. So let's say it's not this. Etc. There can be like rotation around like external axis. So let's say like you make a line like this, you draw one right angle like this, and then you rotate one of like around this axis, you rotate one of sides of this rectangle box, yeah, and you add some extra boxes to it. So you see, this kind of one axis is like, here you can name it like z axis. Remains same. So when I draw this rest of sides, I make it parallel to this axis. Here it's go like this. So kind of like funny puzzle. And then see like how far can do. Maybe like this here. So you can draw this line in any direction. This can be. This will be like one of your homework. So draw random line, and then draw like rectangle attach to this line. Let's repeat same. Okay, so I do say I'll do this direction. Okay. And then kind of make this rotation. And etc. Continue to as far as you can go. Same here. Continue. And then you can do like curve. Like same but with a curve line. So now kind of this axis, like a Z axis is will be different for each next cube. You need to follow it. So here, let's see. Etc. So maybe So it says let's just draw this kind of like one page with this curved, like just try to see how far this line can go, like how far you can turn, because there start to be like so many overlapping. This kind of became very challenging. So this kind of like type of rotation around axis. Axis. Then there is like rotation around kind of like a cylinder or within cylinder. So let's say if we have ellipse extend it to make cylinder. So then you see each of them, they have same, this kind of like in this case we can call it y-axis, vertical axis. So, and there is like way to calculate it properly, and this like very slow, and I will do like tutorial, it's kind of Boolean operations about draw something like this. But also if you watch my video how to rotate objects, part 1, maybe it's called for beginners too, anyway, rotating objects for part 1. So you see you can also unite all of them in ellipse, and also this like lower side. So trick with this kind of intuitive perspective is that you should see these ellipses without drawing them, right? So you see here I did this like little mistake. And yeah, like I say also in the first video, when you draw intuitive perspective, it always will be wrong. It always will be wrong. You just make this creative choice. You kind of make this mistake, you know, nobody will notice as long as if they will start to check your geometry, you know. Usually people will not do this. Because anyway, if you're like, your drawing will be some story, some idea, some message. And if your message is not to show perfect perspective, then nobody will looking for your perspective too close, you know. So idea here is like, so you can have this like ellipse or cylinder in any angle. So easy version is like I show is like when you break it down like this, so you can have 90-degree and 45-degree like this, right? So you can just draw this right angle faces like this. This look like a pistol from Blame. So once you draw these faces, then you draw like full body. Same here. Don't need to draw it fast. It's just kind of I push gas here to make these demonstrations, but there's no need to draw too fast. Think. So, and final version kind of like for your intuitive practice is just like draw right angle, and now you need to imagine kind of all this cylinder around which you rotate this right angle and ellipses. Also, it start to be about overlapping much more, so you need to kind of predict how they will block of you to each other. So here I have like bigger rotation. So you see, again, this kind of grants boxes help me to see, so here will be like very narrow side. And keep going here. So see, I keep it parallel. So I can drop it here. Maybe I can draw like this. Like if you draw like this, yes, definitely solve overlapping problem, because you can see which box is in the front. So it's kind of two ways, and yeah, for practice you can do one or other, just for challenge, to see like if you can draw just one by one, just kind of, let's say here, let's try this angle. How it will be rotating here. So you see, start to impossible here to keep drawing because it will be like overlapping. So that's why I show this case, like when you need to go from here, kind of drawing these faces, top faces of each. Yeah, or just don't draw them all. Maybe you can do like half circle, also will be fine. Point is just you practice to draw. Oops, yeah, that's like I would use this one. You practice to draw this stuff without perspective grid. Так, sorry, let's see. Так, then you can do like yeah, okay, maybe also like one more, because with this one you can just do more extreme variations when you can do this like big drum with whole. So you kind of, again, you see you can draw all these faces around. Also, to make like another funny exercise here. So if you make curve line, say like this. So let's see. Let's turn here. Maybe here do this. So you kind of just rotate around invisible curve. And here can be like
Who are you?
My name is Bond.
Jim Bond.
so. Okay, so once you practice this stuff, so I rotate around axis, around curve, axis like this, rotate kind of within cylinder or around cylinder, which is also in a different angles, and draw kind of boxes following kind of invisible curve. You can do it horizontally, and you can do it vertically also, you know. So then, yeah, can make it more complex when you, instead of drawing boxes, you make it some kind of other geometry. So let's say like this box can be like cut object like this. Or it can be this kind of cut. Or okay, let's do this a couple times. Can make some shadow. Can be any object, so imagine it's like maybe like plus 3D cross. So kind of like first, if you're not, if you cannot manage it without rectangles, you can without boxes, you can at first draw them as a boxes, and then you make this kind of cut within boxes, like subtraction kind of. And then like when you're able to draw it without boxes, okay, can do. Yeah, here it became like very hard with this overlapping, but anyway, so let's see, with a straight line will be easier. Better this side. It's kind of like nice puzzle to train your general feeling of space, and also, as like I say, it gives you very nice for ability to draw freehand. So you can like more rely on your freehand perspective drawing, which is like kind of relief, you know, bring a lot of relief. Here's so it's kind of like I say again, goal is not to totally draw without pencil, but make it more kind of fluent. Like so here, yes, so kind of will less required to double check every box in your drawings. Like, wow, it's too dark. Because like in cases, like imagine like you draw a picture where there's like you have um, environment, you have people, then people have props. As like you don't need to make like perspective grid for every prop. You will eyeball them. So better your this kind of ability to eyeball perspective, faster you will draw all these details like props and other kind of 3D geometry. So let's say just for this exercise, you can do any of this rotation. You can also like draw them in a kind of imagining perspective grid, like also in the first video I was talking about. But this time you make like first kind of you imagine what kind of front of this form. It can be like a cross or like this kind of thing or this kind of thing, or maybe it's just like this, right? What else can be? It's like kind of like this something. Also about the stuff, have a nice video from Zef Draws. Zef Draws. So I recommend to check it out. So you make this face, right? Then you can make it 3D, and then you practice just for fun, draw it, rotate it in a different scenario, like in a perspective grid. So let's say, wait. Let's say this one. This. And then I try to rotate it kind of around cylinder. Here I can show like a little. So, and you will always draw it wrong. So kind of, be ready for this. And it's not about make it perfect. It's about just develop this sense, develop this mode, this kind of mode of a drawing without calculation, kind of without making these measurements. And you will feel like while you're drawing these exercises, it's kind of your brain like creates new neurons kind of in your head. You see how your brain starts to think differently. So here I kind of make reflection. And this how he think differently. That's what you need. You start to be like more like you kind of developing this intuition. So you see like, this is a mistake. So your brain start to make hypothesis kind of like, oh, okay, how should I draw it so it will look properly? And your like next attempt will be better than previous. Your brain will make this adjustment naturally, So it's crazy how simple sometimes it is. Just at least have it intent and keep trying. And when you have this intent and you keep trying, you kind of keep going towards your goal, your brain will adjust. Your brain somehow will find how to solve this issue, how to make these assumptions, how to make these measurements, this geometry more accurate. So that's why you need this practice, is just to kind of turn on, switch on this kind of thinking, kind of information processing. And like I said, it's not give you like all you want, because you still will need to better for you if you will practice these essentials, like learn some theory, draw some slow stuff, like this kind of squares in perspective and drawing ellipses into squares, like in my previous tutorials. But also, do this. It's really useful stuff. And you will be like a Kim Jung Gi. So, and here's you. And part with the other Kim Jung Gi words for inspiration.
자신감 있게 그릴 수 있는데 펜으로만 그리면 안 그렇다고, 그냥 이게 마음가짐의 차이일까요?
그렇죠. 처음엔 다 그래요. 그 약간 연필은 보통 우리 생각에 수정할 수 있다는 그 밑밥이 깔려 있지 않습니까? 그리고 또 많이 써왔다는 안정적인 게 좀 깔려 있어요.
그러니까요.
근데 이것도 따지고 보면 많이 쓰다 보면은 여러분 똑같아요. 그냥 스케치 안 하고 그냥 바로바로 그리다 보면 똑같은 위치니까요. 뭐 그런 거에 대해서 스트레스 가질 필요 없고, 그런 거 차이나 그런 거보다는 그냥 연필 스케치 꼼꼼히 하셔가지고 그리는 게 훨씬 낫습니다.
Jung Gi said that it is really a problem of mindset. It is not really a tool issue. And Jung Gi says that it is normal that we feel more at ease when we are using pencil, because we know that even we make any mistakes, we are going to be able to fix it. So it is normal to feel more confident and more at ease when using pencil. And Jung Gi also said that when the time goes by, you'll feel confident with the pen too. When you have practiced